Now let's talk about equations of lines. Again, this is a review from Algebra 1, but this is going to show up on your unit exam. It's going to show up on the SOL, and you're going to see it again in Algebra 2. We have to be able to describe lines algebraically. Our essential question is, how do I write equations of lines? All right, so we're going to start off with your friend slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, where m represents your slope and b represents the y-intercept. We have standard form, capital A lowercase x plus capital B lowercase y equals capital C. Standard form looks pretty. It's useful if you're trying to find the x and the y-intercept. Remember, with standard form, you cannot have any decimals or any fractions, and we prefer for the a value to be positive. Point slope form, you didn't spend a lot of time on this one in Algebra 1, and yet it's the most useful or versatile one in my opinion. It's also one you're going to see a lot of this year. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1, where your point is x sub 1, y sub 1, and m represents your slope. Keep in mind a couple of special lines, right? Vertical lines are written in the form x equals a number, where the number, sorry, I wrote the number 5, I don't know why, where the number represents the line's x-intercept. Vertical lines have a slope that is undefined. Horizontal lines are written in the form y equals a number, where the number represents the line's y-intercept. Horizontal lines have a slope that equals 0. Okay, so let's take a look. We're going to write all three equations of the lines for each of these examples. The very first thing I need is slope. Slope is required for all of these. Let's see here. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4. My run is 2. This is a positive slope, and it simplifies to 2. I also need a point. Either one of these points is fine. I'm going to choose this one, 2, 1. Okay, now that I have the point and a slope, or the slope and a point, as I work on my grammar, I'm going to do point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. And I'm going to substitute. Y minus, here's my x1, y1. Y minus 1 equals, replace m, parentheses, x minus, replace x sub 1. That's it. You don't do anything else to that. Okay, now I want slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I get slope-intercept from point slope form. First, I distribute. Then I add the 1 to both sides. And I have slope-intercept form. Finally, to get standard form, ax plus by equals c, I'm going to move the 2x to the other side. And we're done. All right, let's do this one together. I have a slope and I have a point. So I'm going to start off with point slope form. Let me write down that formula. help me remember it. So y minus, let's see, negative 9. Y minus negative 9 becomes y plus 9 equals, replace m, parentheses, x minus, replace x1, and I'm done. Slope-intercept form requires me to distribute. Let's see, negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12, divided by 3 is 4, and then subtract the 9 from both sides. And I'm done with that one. Now to get standard form, the first thing I need to do is move the 2/3 x to the other side. And then I have to remember that I'm not allowed to have a fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything by the denominator. 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 3 is 2x plus 3y equals negative 15, and I'm done. All right. I would like for you to try number 3 on your own, and then we'll come back for the next section. Pause your video, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a minute to check your work. You had to find the slope first. There were 2 options for point slope form. You could have used the first ordered pair or the second ordered pair. Okay, you only have to have one of those. I used my first equation in point slope form to find slope intercept form. You could have used the second equation, it would come out the same. And then I turned slope intercept form into standard form. All right, we are asked to determine whether these equations describe parallel, perpendicular, oblique, OB, I misspelled this, OBLIQUE, no, that doesn't look right, oblique. Let's try, let's see, drop my pen. No matter how I'm looking to spell this, it doesn't look right to me. I think it's OBLIQUE. I could be wrong on the spelling of the word oblique, right? But let's talk about this. Parallel means same slope. Perpendicular means opposite reciprocal slope. Oblique just means they intersect. And coinciding means you have the exact same equation of the line. Usually we've just written it in a different format. All right, so let's look at number 1 and identify my slopes. In number 1, the first equation here, they gave me slope-intercept form, so my slope is 5. In the second equation, it's slope-intercept form. My slope is 5. The slopes are the same, so these lines are parallel. In number 2, they gave me slope-intercept form again. For the first equation, my slope is negative 3/2. For the second equation, my slope is 2/3. Those are opposite reciprocals, so these lines are perpendicular. Number 3 is a little more work. They did not give me slope-intercept form, so that's what I need, right? I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 2. For the second equation, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and then I'm going to divide by negative 3. All right, so in the first equation, my slope equals -1/2. In the second equation, my slope equals 2. Those are opposite reciprocals, so these lines are perpendicular. Let's look at number 4. They gave me standard form for the first one. I need slope-intercept form, so I'm going to subtract x from both sides and then divide by -1. My slope for this first equation is a positive one. The second equation's already in slope-intercept form, and that slope's a positive one. So these lines are parallel. Ooh, y equals -7. That's a horizontal line. X equals 2. That's a vertical line. Horizontals and horizontals and vertical lines are always perpendicular. Okay, number 6. The first equation's in point slope form, so I know my slope is 2/3. The second equation's in standard form, so I need to rewrite it. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And then I'm going to divide by -3. And my slope here is 2/3. Parallel. Both slopes are exactly the same. All right, now we're going to write some equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Write an equation parallel. That's the key word. Parallel means same slope. So if I'm parallel to this equation, my slope has to be -5/2. And I'm going to pass through this point. Well, if I know slope in a point, I'm doing point slope form. Here's x1, y1. So y minus -1 equals my slope times parentheses x minus -4. And I'm done. I'm not going to turn that into slope-intercept form. Why risk messing up the algebra when I already have a perfectly acceptable answer? Ooh, this should say and, not and. Wow, I did that over and over again in these notes. Write an equation parallel to, same slope. Ooh, this one is not in slope-intercept form. So let me start by subtracting x from both sides and then divide by -3. Sometimes when I talk and write, my brain runs away from me. So here, my slope is 1/3. I have this point, so I'm going to do point slope form. Y minus -1 equals 1/3 parentheses x minus 3. And I'm done. Ooh, perpendicular to. Perpendicular, opposite, reciprocal. So my slope in the original equation is positive. In the new one, it has to be negative. Reciprocal means flip. Point slope form again. Y minus -3 equals -4/3 parentheses x minus 3. Write an equation perpendicular, opposite reciprocal. All right, 3y equals -5x minus 21. Divide by 3. My slope here is -5/3. To do perpendicular, I need opposite reciprocal. Wait a minute. I really messed up number 9. We're going to have to go back to that in just a minute. So, point slope form, y minus 1 equals my perpendicular slope, x minus -5. Do you know how I messed up number 9? Yeah, I didn't do the opposite reciprocal slope. Whoops! I didn't mess up number 9. Sorry, guys, leave number 9 alone. Number 9 was just fine the way it is. Let's see if I can actually delete my x's or if it's going to delete everything on me. Cut. Ooh, let me take off my x. I did do an opposite reciprocal slope. I just had a little brain blip there and wasn't thinking clearly. All right, so at this point you need to write me a summary. Make sure you include the 3 equations of the line and how you tell parallel, perpendicular, oblique, and coinciding lines apart.